Well, Bob, thanks so much for meeting with me.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Thank you for the opportunity.
absolutely. And the thing that I have said to everybody that I've met with so far is thanks for doing this. Thanks for stepping up. Thanks for stepping up to the plate to even just run for council, because it's a big decision. It's in my mind, it's almost like the councillor role, town council role is almost a volunteer position because of all the things, all the added things that they need to do throughout the year. So it is certainly appreciated. So we do have the 7 questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 7 questions. I typically hate reading questions during a podcast. I like just having natural conversation. But in order to keep everything fair amongst all candidates, we're going to read through the questions, and then I'm going to make notes while you're talking, things that we want to come back and maybe dissect afterwards. So does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So Bob, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for Okotoks Town Council?
Well, 2.5 years ago, my wife and I, we moved from the Okanagan, specifically Kelowna, where I was a retired bylaw enforcement officer. And with some help of some of my friends and even some guidance from my good friends in the RCMP, we ended up to a lovable town of Okotoks. Basically, we wanted to get away from all the issues that plagued Kelowna in the last decade, especially, which I witnessed firsthand and I had to deal with. In so many words, I dealt with the street people. I dealt with problem properties with the RCMP where there was bylaw issues involved and so on. And like I said, we ended up here in Okotoks. I had trouble because it was in February when I came out here to find a house to buy. I couldn't find anything with a decent sized garage to put my relatively new pickup truck in, full size 1-ton quad cab with a short box. But anyways, the long story short was we finally ended up in the Sandstone community. Beautiful place. And my wife talked me into this community. I had actually grown up on a farm, southern Manitoba, and wanted to live in Black Diamond, but wife says, no, there's better shopping here, and yet the population, it's the best of both worlds here. We're big enough that we've got all the options for shopping, big box stores like Costco and Canadian Tire, Home Depot, Home Hardware, Walmart, and yet we're not plagued like Kelowna is with transient camps and associated shoplifting, and everything has to be locked down like Fort Knox at home and whatever, security cameras on your property, blah, blah, blah. So, once my neighbors actually got wind of what I used to do in Kelowna, that they started lobbying me to actually run for council here, and that's what motivated me. We want to very much keep the community as is. We don't want to see future developments and taxes rising. And that's why I ended up where I am running for council.
For sure. Right on. What's your vision for Okotoks over the next 4 years, and what role do you see yourself playing in helping achieve that vision?
Well, there's several issues, specifically my like-minded friends, and I've got several conservative, small C conservative friends that are likewise fiscal conservatives like I am. We want to get a handle on our excessive growth. We want to, if anything, possibly try to freeze any future developments and let our infrastructure, our water supply, for example, we're now having to build a pipeline and bring in water from north, Calgary, Bow River, whatever. And we want to get a handle on all this excessive quick growth so that our existing residents and young and old, our businesses, large and small, all come first, And we want to basically, put everybody that's here now come first before any more future developments. The issue is also taxes. This is, I think, more covered by your question number 3, key issues. But the thing is, we have to get a handle on our growth and our infrastructure, our services, our recreational facilities for young and old, and so on, all has to come first for the existing residents. And that's basically my vision. We are looking at doing a complete audit of our expenditures and our taxation. And if we do gain control of town council, then that's what we're going to implement. And hopefully we can possibly even freeze our taxes for the next 4 years. Optimistically, maybe even get a small reduction in our taxes in the next 4 years. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that with everything that's happened here so far.
For sure. Yeah, you certainly covered a few things when on question number 3 there, where it talks about key issues. What are the top 2 or 3 issues facing Okotoks right now, and how would you approach them if elected? I feel like you've touched on that, but do you want to expand on that a little bit more?
Basically, the growth is the excessive growth, which I saw happen in Kelowna. I lived for over 20 some years there. Having moved from Winnipeg to Kelowna because it was small and friendly, and we used to get kids coming from, say, Quebec to come and pick fruit. And of course, they're partying it up at night, and then they went home in the fall time when the fruit was picked and time for them to go back to school, whatever. And then suddenly they started to stay, and social services, you can live in a tent here if you want along Mill Creek or whatever, which runs through the heart of downtown, and you can survive the winters and do a little panhandling, whatever, and social services will give you, this, that, whatever, and then safe injection sites, whatever. So, growth is a real big issue to me. The property taxes going up and up and up, that is what we touched upon on the previous question, the vision, where we want to get a handle on that and so on. So, it's key issues are excessive growth and the related problems with infrastructure and services, recreational facilities, all falling behind for existing residents. Existing residents should come first, period. And we don't want to subsidize any future developments, directly or indirectly.
Okay. Number 4, Okotoks continues to face challenges around growth, housing, and infrastructure. How do you believe the town should balance development with maintaining its character and livability?
Well, as I've alluded to a moment ago there, we want to freeze no future developments for the next 4 years until all our services and infrastructure, everything catches up. I hear repeatedly, people complain, well, I can't water my lawn every day or my garden, whatever, if there's water restrictions during a drought and so on. And it seems like every year that we've been here, there's been that low water rainfall. So we did have a good rainfall for a period here a little while ago this summer, but that apparently is a rarity. So,
I think the last time that there was no water restrictions throughout the summer was was 4 years ago during the last election campaign, which I find that very interesting. But we will come back to that. We'll come back to that for sure. So, yes. So, question number 5: many residents want more transparency and involvement in decision making. How would you ensure residents' voices are heard and represented at council?
Well, from my understanding, the council sits every week, and basically they have a session where it's just the council, and then there's the public session where anybody in the public can attend, where I maintain all council meetings should be always open to the public. Maybe rarely there's maybe a security issue or something where you have to have an in-camera session, but otherwise, no, everything should be open to the public. We should all, as councillors, be approachable and available to the public, maintain with a email address and maybe possibly a phone number, although it'd be possibly, you'd have to leave a message, whatever, but email's probably the preferred method. But yeah, we do have to be open and approachable and honest, and in a nutshell, yeah, just democracy for the people that way. And if there's a major project that's controversial, then let's possibly have a public vote on it, a referendum, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is yeah, council is like leading us from top down, and I'm more of a well, not only am I a fiscal conservative, but basically a small c fiscal conservative, but I'm also a libertarian, and I do believe the public should ultimately have a say. And then that's what our representatives should be doing.
Number 6, town council works as a team and also with the Foothills County and the province. How would you approach collaboration and compromise to get results for Okotoks?
Well, this is where possibly we could have joint sessions if there's a major common issue between our neighbors and the town. And the other thing is maybe we could have from our council, have a representative, one of the councillors attend our neighboring council meetings and to keep an eye on what's going on around us. And likewise, they could have somebody attend to our council meetings. It's just a suggestion, but I think that would work.
Yes.
And it certainly would keep us in contact with one another, and we know what's going on with our neighbors. And Okotoks is blessed with some very prosperous ranches and farmers and whatever around us. They all help support our town. And yeah, and we've got, well, like I said earlier, we're blessed with great shopping here. Costco, I imagine you got people coming to Costco here from 50 miles away, probably. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, for things that, are non-perishable, especially, and so on. Anyways, yeah, that's what I see as working with our neighbors.
For sure. If residents remember just one thing about you, Bob, after listening to this conversation, what should it be?
I want to be remembered as somebody who has helped bring fiscal responsibility to our town. I really want the town to remember our efforts, basically to make it a priority for the town to really look after its existing residents, young and old again, and businesses large and small. They have to come first. That's what I want to be remembered for. And fiscal responsibility, yes. It's like, let's freeze our taxes. Maybe we have to pull an Elon Musk on Okotoks expenditures. I don't know. But that didn't go over very well at times, depending on your political leanings down south and our neighbors, big neighbors to the south. But yeah, there was uncovered some unbelievable things. And who knows? I haven't had a look at the books. They're obviously not available to the ordinary citizen just offhand without going through a freedom of information or something. But anyways, yeah, that's what I'd like to be remembered for.
For sure. Right on. Okay, well, that wraps up the questions. So now if we can just go back, I got a few questions for you, and I got to keep an eye on the time. So when you you've mentioned a few things outside of the singular, and you've mentioned more plural. You said we, like you said, if we gain control of town council, is this a group of people that you are?
There's four of us in particular that are actually campaigning together.
Okay.
We're all running independently. We're all like-minded, fiscal, small c conservatives, basically. We have several businessmen, and I believe the other is a manager. Myself, I'm the retired grumpy old bylaw officer. But they talked me into joining them. There's a lady friend as well who is running for council as well. I understand that there's a challenge to the mayor's position, but I haven't met him, and I'm not aware of what his campaign actually. I haven't had a chance to actually delve into it. He just announced his candidacy recently. So.
Right. So yeah, there's three now, right?
Oh, there's three.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
Colin, if you were to listen to the Okotoks podcast, you would hear Colin. I've interviewed Colin already, and I've reached out to Dwight. He's the third guy that just announced yesterday.
Okay, good.
He's running. So now, do you care to, are you able to share the names of the other councillors that you've kind of formed an allegiance with, or?
Well, yes, I can say that. There's Benjamin Shepherd, there's Ryan Nix, and there's Robert Punko, and myself. There's the four of us that are door knocking together at times. Yesterday, because I'm the retiree, pulled out of retirement, so I was out, in a couple of evenings here last night in my immediate neighborhood in Sandstone, and people were really happy to have me knock at the door for the most part. A lot of concerns of the residents here. A lot of people have moved here because of our small town atmosphere, and they want to keep it that way. And so do I. So does my wife. That's why we moved here. We don't want to become part of Calgary or similar to Calgary or Kelowna for that matter, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
So how will your group kind of respond that, because I hear from other people that growth is inevitable. Like there's just so much growth going on in this area. Like we talked about the Foothills County. The Foothills County has all these pop-up communities going that are going to be impacting Okotoks like crazy. So if we don't, because years ago there was the population ban. We lifted that ban for that very reason, because there was different communities planning on being built right on the border of Okotoks Okotoks would never get any of the tax dollars from that. So how would you guys freeze growth for the next 4 years? I find that to potentially be a little bit difficult, especially because we don't know all the commitments that have been made.
Well, for one thing, in order for those developments, if they're right on our doorstep practically, you're obviously going to have some shared agreements in place when these developments take place, such as for fire services. If we have to help them, say they've got a major structure fire or grass fire or field, whatever, nearby town and so on, there has to be an input from our neighbors to pay for some of these and help cover the costs of these expenditures that we have to cover to maintain our services even for ourselves. I mean, we can't send 3 fire trucks over to wherever and leave our own residents left stranded, vulnerable. So I used to actually be in the West Side Fire Department years ago, and that's part of my history. And when I first moved from Winnipeg in 95 and I joined the West Side Fire Department, now it's West Kelowna. But anyways, I'm well aware how that paid on call system works. And as some of these neighboring subdivisions, for example, they can't tie into our water just like that either. And, there's all kinds of issues.
Yeah. Because the Okotoks did have a pretty big agreement with the Foothills County to get this new water pipeline in, right?
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
all kind of tied in
Tied
together.
into that, yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I haven't seen the actual details of it, and I've just heard what residents have told me and so on. But specifically, yeah, there has to be an overseeing of all these developments, and we have to have our say and our input, and we have to protect the interests of our residents and businesses first, period.
For sure. When you talk about freezing development in order for infrastructure to catch up, what kind of infrastructure are you talking about?
Well, there's
specifically?
roadways, there's parks, there's water supply, there's several things, fire department and all that, ambulance services. The thing is, when I say we have to freeze, I'm talking about future developments. We have already some developments in place now up in Darcy and the one in the
Wedderburn.
the southwest corner of the town here. And they're very substantial. And people are saying, well, how many houses, how many people are going to be moving in there? What's happening with our services? What's happening with whatever? So, yeah, we have to stop any more future growth until we allow our existing infrastructure and services, et cetera, all to catch up.
Yeah, well, if I have it understood correctly, it looks like next year that pipeline will be
But that's just
online.
one issue. And even then, we still have to get everything else under control.
Yeah.
What about our recreational facilities for our youth and the seniors and so on? That all has to be looked at first before any more future development. And we should not, as I've said before, the existing residences and businesses should not directly or indirectly subsidize any future development, period.
Right, for sure.
That is primary to me.
Have you heard that the town's subsidizing future development?
It's pretty obvious we do, from what I've talked to some residences and so on. Yes, I don't have anything to present as factual, but yeah, no, it is clearly, we do. Yeah. We are spending money on putting in all these developments and water and sewer, and look at all the big pipes that were being put in recently in the along Milligan there in the last month or so here, and a major construction process there. And it's definitely, I would say that's tied into our growth.
Yeah, I think they're just getting the water lines out to the new water lines, if I'm not mistaken, out to the west end.
Those are big pipes. They're almost 2 feet, I guess, whatever. When you drive by, they look like that, 18 inches, whatever. But we've got a lot of challenges from our growth, and it's time to just put a pause on it, at least for 4 years, let everything catch up, and maybe we can even freeze our taxes and even maybe get a small reduction once we fully audit everything.
Yeah, for sure. You also mentioned that have you heard that there's some council meetings where they would close the doors and close sessions and open?
Yeah,
like would
in
that
camera.
happen? Would that happen? They'd still have the cameras rolling?
It would. The definition of in camera basically is that you've got a closed meeting, that the minutes are not publicized and so on and so forth. It's not open to the public.
Okay.
And I'd like to see all our meetings generally be totally open to the public, and also the fact that the minutes should be publicized. Who voted for what?
Yes.
Including the mayor and all the councillors.
Do they not produce that?
I'm not sure they do. I haven't seen it when I go through the Western Wheel or whatever. I haven't seen anything like that.
For sure.
So, as far as I know, they don't.
Yeah.
But
you also mentioned the public being a little bit more engaged in getting the public out for referendums or public votes or whatever. How do you see going about that? Like, would you look at referendums every major decision, or would you try to implement them every 2 years or something?
No, it wouldn't be every 2 years, and it would definitely be just on major expenditures. Maybe we'd have a ceiling of $100,000 or maybe more, maybe a couple $100,000. I'd have to look at what we're currently spending before I'd make that decision.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be my decision, it would be council's, but it would be a recommendation that I would say, okay, anything above this amount or this controversial, if we hear from a lot of the public saying, oh, you shouldn't do that, or wait till we do that till later, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, then have a referendum. Why not?
Yeah.
And we can hold a referendum relatively cheap. I mean, you have a few polling stations and people come in, produce their driver's license, whatever, to, okay, I live here, whatever, or you're a taxpayer, you're on the roll, and so you're on the voting list. And yeah, you'd say yay or nay to whatever big development that somebody's planning or expenditure of some sort.
Yeah, for sure. What about like events and you got all the events going on downtown, then you have sporting events and all that stuff. How do you see events, tourism, and all that stuff kind of come into play for Okotoks?
Those are important. I see that as important. That's part of the character of our small town, that we are active, especially for our youth and seniors and everybody else in between. Yeah, those are good things. And that's what maintains the character and nature of our town.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, to me, that makes common sense.
Yeah.
We don't want to blow money on anything and everything, but yeah, we obviously have to watch what we're spending because, a lot of people have told me when I'm going door knocking, it's getting expensive to live in this town.
Oh, yeah.
Our taxation. So we got to watch what we're spending money on. But,
well, like I look at our taxes and they keep going up and up and up. I think if people actually felt that they were getting value for their taxes.
Right. But you have to keep in mind a very substantial part of our population is either a first home buyer or a senior citizen that's retired here and they're on a fixed income.
Yeah.
And
because a lot of people talk about affordability.
This is it. We did well, my wife and I, when we sold our home in Kelowna, and we sold to a developer. That's no secret, but I ended up buying my home, and I also bought a condo for renting here, and we're comfortable. We're not rich. We're definitely not rich, but we are comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say you probably are comfortable. You look comfortable. And maybe you're rich, and that's fine too.
You're saying that because I'm chubby?
No. But the reality is not everybody is, especially some retirees that have, moved here 20 years ago, and they're now in their prime of life that they're going to be soon selling their home and maybe moving into a care home, whatever. But we got to look after everybody, but they have to come first before any future development, period.
Yeah. Right on. Well, no, I certainly appreciate your time. Appreciate you stepping up to the plate and, seeing your passion. That's the nice thing that I've met. Everybody that I've met with, I think I have 2 more to meet with, and then I'm up to, I think, 13 out of the 16.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm going to get those other 3 in, but just seeing everybody's love for this town. People certainly... They've moved here for a reason, and they got in, and they want to keep it the way it is. And we're all
this is it.
In that same boat, and we're scared. We're scared that with the new areas that have gone in, and I've mentioned this time and time again, just even the amount of traffic lights that went in with those new developments, it just seemed like the planning was It's just like, okay, these are two big newer communities going in, and it seems like we're not able to handle the new infrastructure and keep the flow of traffic going. I think people would be okay with the new infrastructure if it didn't affect them, but it is affecting us all. Absolutely. Right. I think of the people, thankfully, I don't have to go up north on 32nd to take the kids to school in the morning, but that's a disaster.
Yeah.
And to plan another school for that same area, that's even double, triple laned 32nd is still going to be a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think doubling it certainly will help, but you're adding the pickleball court. You have potentially 3 schools going on in that same area. And it's just like, I don't know if this is the right plan, but those are things. So we did pass our 30 minutes, but
Oh, okay.
I appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.